They brought the building blocks from which life formed.
When we look at the oceans on the Earth, some scientists say that much of that was brought by comets. Other scientists say that all of it was brought by comets. But there's a good chance that when I have this drink of water, that I'm really drinking a glass of comet. And comets do taste good.
The essentials for life could well have been brought to Earth by comets, but they also have a sinister side.
These comets bring to the Earth the building blocks of life, and then subsequently you have comets coming back to the Earth and destroying the species from time to time.
The Earth is a beautiful book, and her story is told in pages of rock. And there's one painful page all over the Earth that tells that story.
"65 million years ago, catastrophe. 3/4 of all species were wiped from the face of the Earth. Associated with the rocks of that time is a thin layer of clay rich in iridium, an element rare on Earth but abundant in meteorites. Maybe a comet or asteroid smashed into the Earth and threw up a cloud of debris rich in iridium. But could any more evidence for an impact be found? Dr. David Kring went in search of a site.
We found the impact site at the end of the Cretaceous by looking at the impact ejected that had been thrown out of the crater. The closer one gets to the impact site, the thicker that debris should be. And we made a crucial discovery in the country of Haiti, where the debris was 1/2 meter thick. That told us that the impact must have occurred somewhere within the Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico region. That led us to some geophysical surveys of a circular structure buried on the Yucatan Peninsula. And when we looked at rock samples that had been recovered from that structure, we found the unmistakable shattered rock effects of a huge asteroid collision.
They eventually mapped out a crater 100 miles wide. This was almost certainly the site of the most catastrophic event in recent history. Kring has tied up the loose ends.
The Chicxulub crater was produced when an asteroid or comet slammed into the surface of the Earth. And when that happened, the asteroid or comet itself was vaporized. It also vaporized a portion of the Earth's crust around the point of impact, melted some material, and shattered other parts of the Earth's crust. At that same time, it started the material moving and threw it out of a bowl-shaped depression, which we now call the Chicxulub impact crater.
The asteroid or comet wiped out 3/4 of all species, including the most famous victims of all, the dinosaurs.
The damage produced by an impact event of this size is enormous. Particularly locally, there would have been huge waves radiating away from the point of impact. These waves, we recognize, streamed across the Gulf of Mexico and crashed into the coast of Mexico and the United States. More globally, material ejected out of the impact crater would have been distributed on the continents of South America and North America.
Burning fragments thrown out from the impact eventually returned to Earth as incendiary missiles. Hell rained down, igniting fires around the globe.
If you were outside, you were dead. The temperature of the planet's atmosphere rose to an oven set to broiling.
In addition, much finer debris would have been ejected at very high velocities, gone into very high elliptical orbits, and eventually come raining down into the atmosphere.
The shroud of dust that girdled the globe blocked sunlight. Temperatures took a nosedive and environments were transformed.
The Yucatan Peninsula has rocks called anhydrites and limestones, and when you vaporize these, you produce sulfuric acid or carbon dioxide, and this produces acid rain and greenhouse warming.
So the dinosaurs were treated to every environmental calamity that we can possibly imagine, all at once.
All that remained were barren landscapes. Species perished in trauma at the end of the Cretaceous. The world was transformed.
impacts of very large objects, mostly comets, have probably produced most of the great mass extinctions over the past 500 million years. Now, the important point is not just the extinctions. Following each major extinction was a burst of evolution, and new species came on the scene.
Catastrophic extinction has shaped evolution. If those species hadn't perished, would we be here today?
If a small comet the size of Shoemaker Levy 9 hits the Earth, the danger to life would be enormous, because those clouds would block sunlight hitting the Earth, and the photosynthesis would stop, and the plants would die, and then the plant-eating animals would die, and the death would just go right up the food chain as it did 65 million years ago.
If we had an asteroid only about twice as large as the one that hit here, it would